I just realized for anyone listening to this now, this will be the second episode where they have a snazzy intro.
Oh, damn.
So
I mean, that means last episode has it too. Ooh, I like that.
yeah, I added
It's
it
not up
in
yet as
at
we're
the
recording.
beginning.
Ooh.
Not up yet,
Oh boy.
but it will be up today. But I added it in, and this one's gonna have the snazzy opening too. I forgot how it sounds
Damn,
like, to
let's
be honest.
go. Oh man, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Actually, because I've already heard the track. But anyways,
I'm excited to
hello
hear it
everyone.
in the context of our episode, like leading up, like slow fade, and
Oh
then
yeah,
we start talking.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. The listeners have no idea what we're talking about, so let's move on. Yeah.
Full credits to Simon, by
Sorry.
the way. You discovered it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did discover it. I put in work. No, I didn't put in work. I just spent like 10 minutes maybe looking.
Still though.
That's okay. Yeah. Hi everyone. How are you? A lot's happened recently.
Yes,
And yeah,
but
couple firings.
I think it's more important for me to say this thing first.
Ben Simmonds was
Yeah,
traded.
I was just gonna say that.
Were you actually?
Yeah.
Shit. It's funny. Okay. All right. Respect.
Yo, Ben Simmons traded for James Harden. That's big. Biggest blockbuster in sports, at least
Well,
over
sorry,
the last
James
couple
Harden
days.
for Ben Simmons plus. The
Yeah.
Sixers got fucking fleeced. Oh my god.
To be honest, I haven't paid attention to what Ben Simmons has done over the last few months. I just know that he was acting up and he wasn't going to.
He's been out. He hasn't played a game this season. It's basically so a little Ben Simmons recap. So last year he and then towards the end of the playoffs, he wasn't. Doc Rivers basically sat him in the fourth quarter because he wasn't taking shots. Whenever he touched the ball towards the end of the game, they would just foul him. They can go to free throw line, and then they basically embarrassed him. The Hawks did, and the Sixers kind of did. So he was like, I don't want to play here anymore. Yada yada yada. Even though it's partially his fault, but okay. And then he basically coming into camp, he said, I'm not going to play for the Sixers. You need to trade me. He hasn't played a game. And then James Harden said, I don't want to play in Brooklyn because Kyrie is only playing 50% of the games. Anyways, so.
Oh, wow. So,
yeah.
okay, I remember the Ben Simmons thing. And apologies to anyone here listening, thinking we're going to talk about hockey. We will talk about it in just a sec. But James Harden, I didn't know that he was getting frustrated at Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. So I guess Brooklyn
that's been coming. Like I came out, I think a week and a half ago, or maybe a little bit longer than that.
Oh wow.
Apparently he claimed it like living in Brooklyn. He didn't like the way the team was operating.
That's news.
If I'm being honest, and again, this is just purely speculation on my part, but I think if Kyrie Irving's playing 100% of the games, James Harden's probably still a Brooklyn net. But I think the fact that Kyrie's only playing half the games because of a personal choice, as well as KD being hurt. Now KD being hurt, obviously, I don't think it plays as much as a factor considering there's literally nothing KD could have done. But I think Kyrie is probably the biggest factor in why James Harden left, or he didn't ask to leave. Apparently, he really wanted to go to Philly to be with Daryl Morey, but yeah, I mean, I think
what
it's a great trade for both sides.
But what a gain for Philly fans, right? Trust the process.
Yes. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. People are really excited, and so people in Philly are really excited. Like, oh, bring on the championship and everything. I'm relatively concerned about James Harden, and the reason I say that is I think he's like 33 or something like that. And he's relatively old. And now he has a hamstring injury again. He doesn't take care of his body. He's someone who's constantly injured. He's been prone to some bad playoff appearances. So I'm a little skeptical to kind of see a lot of Philly fans kind of jumping to say, oh, we're going to go to the championship. Because I think Brooklyn, if they can get Ben Simmons in the lineup, is going to be, I think that's a really nice fit. They need a center or a big guy. Ben Simmons can be that guy. They don't need him to be the primary ball handler or someone who's going to be taking a lot of jump shots. And Brooklyn got 2 first-round picks out of it. So I don't know. It's a trade. Obviously, there's multiple pieces and multiple pros and cons, but it's a blockbuster, putting it lightly. It's a earth shattering trade. Is that the ground shattering? I don't know what the term is.
Earth shattering, I think. Yeah.
Earth shattering. Okay. Anyways, doesn't really matter. It's just it's a word. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, big news. When you compare to the rest of the sports world, I think this is the biggest thing that happened today because it was the NBA trade deadline, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the NBA trade
NHL.
deadline's like, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that one's today. The NHL trade deadline, if I'm not mistaken, is I forgot. It's like
March 12th.
March 12th,
I don't
right?
know. I'm guessing. I have no idea.
Here, let me search it up right now. Then add in some filler.
Yeah. So like one thing was that I was talking about, or not, I was really talking about. So there, I was on a Twitter discussion today, and like it's kind of interesting to know how much more interesting the NBA trade deadline is than the NHL trade
Yeah.
deadline. Now there's obviously a lot more. There's more to it than just the NHL GMs are kind of boring and everything, because I think that's part of it. But
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that the NHL is really, I think they're really the only pro sport left with like an actual salary cap outside of maybe football. But even then, like I'm not 100% sure how the football salaries work, and if it's a salary cap or it's like or it's
I don't
just
think
like a
so.
tax threshold.
I'm not sure.
I don't know, but like you have a lot of teams right now who are only sitting in like around $1 million in cap space. Um, so like I just think it's very difficult to expect a lot of GMs to go out and make these massive moves and move these massive contracts, considering how little cap space they have. Like the one I mentioned on Twitter was like Jack Eichel, for example, with the Knights. That's probably the biggest trade we've seen since
Yeah.
like in a very long time.
And yeah, I don't
And
think we will see any trade like that again anytime soon, to be honest with you.
I mean, I think that's a good. I think that's a valid assessment, unless someone like I don't know who an example would be. Like maybe again, this is a very extreme example, but given everything that's happening with their team, and maybe this is a good segue. Maybe is Connor McDavid. If
Ooh.
things happen at Edmonton, who knows? But at the same time, like he's making $12.5 million, and like it's very difficult for teams to make $12.5 million in cap space just to acquire one player.
Do you want
So
a fun fact?
yes,
So 21-22, the NHL season, the one that we're currently in, 5-on-5. How many points does Connor McDavid have?
like 10, 12,
26.
something like that.
26.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 12 was pretty ridiculous considering he has like
Which is
70
which is the exact same number of points that Michael Bunting has 5-on-5. Case closed.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, I'm not saying Michael Bunting is the best player in the NHL.
It has to be
I'm
asked.
not saying
The
that.
question has to be asked.
Right?
Michael Bunting better than Leon Draisaitl? I think
I
so.
mean,
No.
look,
Yeah.
the numbers don't lie. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Connor McDavid washed. My article. My call.
Connor
Yeah.
McDavid washed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
that's
number
nothing to look
two.
into, to be honest. Who cares? But
Yeah.
like, it's cool. I think it's more.
That's
It speaks more volumes
mhm.
about Michael Bunting than it does about Connor McDavid. Because he also
Does
did it in
it?
130 plus less minutes of ice time than Connor McDavid. So that's cool. Good job, Michael
It is
Bunting.
cool. But like I would question. Does it say more about Michael Bunting than Connor McDavid? Like I'm genuinely asking because because
I think so.
I know I know like that can be deemed as like a very like who cares stat, but like that basically means that sorry, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like stats are stats. It's supposed to give you
Yeah.
a bit better of an idea of how these players generate offense. But the fact that Connor McDavid only has 26 points on 5-on-5,
Mm-hmm.
if I was an Oilers fan, I'd be concerned. Now, don't get me wrong, Connor McDavid's the best player on the planet. His talent is through the roof. He's probably the most skilled player I've ever seen. And I've been watching the league for like 12 years, 15 years, which I know isn't that long, but anyways, I digress. But and he's playing with Leon Dry. Anyways, this is I'm not gonna turn this into another Oilers suck rant or anything, but like
Yeah, we've been too hard on the Oilers recently.
because like my main thing like you go back and you watch previous years of Connor McDavid and how he would just dominate the ice whenever he was on the ice, and for whatever reason, just doesn't feel like he's really doing that anymore.
Wait, no, I mean he is
No, sorry,
dominating.
I know at times like there there was a goal he scored this year against the New York Rangers. We're at 1-on-5.
Sick goal.
probably one of the nicest goals I've ever seen. It was ridiculous. Like it was absolutely disgusting. But I guess what I'm saying is, does it not feel like this year specifically there are a lot less highlights of Connor McDavid doing ridiculous things
I
than
guess
previous
so.
years?
You know who I'm seeing more highlights of? The really young players in the NHL now. Trevor Zegras.
Yeah, like I don't disagree with that at all. But like this is we're talking like 1 or 2 years removed from when we would have Connor McDavid highlights on repeat of different games of different
Yeah,
plays, and it feels like now for whatever reason again. And maybe I'm completely off base here. I could be completely wrong, and if I am, like
I think you are.
I'm like I can I'll accept it. Like
I
I don't
just
know, man.
I just think his either it's a combination of two things. His game has toned down a little bit. He's decided to be less flashy, but also teams have figured out how to defend him better. I think like
Yeah,
teams learn,
yeah,
and this is
yeah,
his
and
seventh year,
I
right?
think
So
I think that's probably both, and I think it's probably teams have learned a bit more because again, we're talking. If you go back to the Winnipeg series, they got swept,
yeah,
and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl didn't do much at all. And the Leafs did a lot, and not to make it about the Leafs, but the Leafs shut them down, shut them out like 2 out of 3 games, and they almost shut them out a third time. So like,
I guess
I
so.
again it's just questions like that where it's like, anyways, I'm not gonna.
Anyway,
Like my Connor McDavid is not a good player anymore. Take probably will not age well. So not, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying like it just seems like he's not like. Anyways, I'm just taking myself to a deeper hole.
yeah,
I'm gonna stop
you know
talking
what?
now.
It's okay. It's okay. You're wrong.
Yeah, it's okay.
Michael
Sorry,
Bunting.
Connor.
I
I
forgot how
still
many
love you though,
points.
Connor.
Connor McDavid currently has 61 points. So if he had 26 in even strength, that leaves you with, do the math, 30,
26. That's
20,
the
35.
35.
Yeah, 35.
35. Yeah.
And then Michael
Oh, okay.
Bunting.
See, when you put it like that, that's actually not that bad. 26, 35. That's only 9 points more on the power play than he has an even strength. That's not ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, I take that back. I take it back. Never mind. I take back that take. Take it
Backtrack,
back.
backtrack.
Yeah. Connor
Where
McDavid's
is
bad. What? Yeah.
where is Michael Bunting? Bunting, where are you? How many points does holy shit? Does has
38, I'm guessing.
no, he actually has 29, meaning he only has 3 points in the power play all season. That's crazy.
I mean, it makes sense. He's playing with Marner and Matthews. He's not gonna get like I could like put up a good amount of points with Matthews just handling the puck all the time. Like, here, Matty, just take it. Go ahead. Go
Um,
score. The net. Yeah.
and just for anyone who wants an additional fun fact, before we actually get into what we're supposed to talk about this episode,
Talk about a sidetrack. Yeah.
Johnny Gaudreau is actually leading the league in even strength points at 45 in
Good for
43 games
him.
played.
Man, good for him. Good for
He's having a
Johnny.
really good bounce back season.
Yeah, man. The Flames and oh god, the Leafs are playing them tonight. He's definitely gonna light up the Leafs tonight. Yeah,
Hope
all
not.
all the Flames have like Goudreau's playing really well. Markstrom, Kachuk's playing really. Kachuk had a between the goals between the leg goal last night. It was ridiculous. He's such a good player. Like that man, Daryl Sutter, man.
I
They got
take
him
back
going.
I take back everything about what I said about Daryl Sutter being a dinosaur coach and him not lasting with the Flames. I'm gonna eat my words. I remember when we had a prediction episode at the beginning of the season, we predicted 3 coaches or however many coaches we thought would be fired. I
Oh
said
god, yeah.
Daryl Sutter was one of them. Wrong. I'll eat my
Mhm.
words. I don't care. However, and here's where I'm gonna make the segue. I also said Dom Ducharme was gonna be fired. And I also said Paul Maurice at the time. I didn't know Paul Maurice would fire the way he
Wow.
resigned, but
Look at
I said that
you.
as
3 for
well.
3. No, sorry, 2 for 3. There's no way Daryl Sutter gets fired. Yeah, true.
I'll look back. I made some good predictions back then. The only one I didn't make a prediction for was the Riley one because I was like, oh, they got to trade Riley.
I
1 week
nailed
later,
that.
8 times
I
8.
nailed it. I nailed it. That's probably one of my proudest moments on the pod. But anyways,
Yeah.
yes. So yeah, that's a good segue. Dom Ducharme is fired.
Do we want to do Dom Ducharme first or Dave Tippett?
Let's do Dave Tippett first, actually,
Okay.
because Dave Tippett's gonna be pretty quick. Dave Tippett was fired. Like
Yeah.
I said he was going to, like 2 weeks ago. The Edmonton Oilers are currently in 44 games played. They're 23-18. in 44 games played, 20, 23 and 18 with 3 overtime losses. They have 49 points and they are 5 points back of the Calgary Flames for the 4th spot in the Pacific. I don't think.
Go ahead.
So they lost last night to the Blackhawks 4-1. They went down 2-0 within the first couple minutes of the game, which is significant considering it's the Blackhawks. Yeah, like I don't think there's much to add here. The Oilers have been underperforming for a majority of the season. I think there's some crazy stat in terms of like they've allowed the first goal of the hockey game, and like I think in like over 50% of the games they've played this year, or something ridiculous like that. They have a -3 goal differential. They have a 12-10 home record, 11-8-3 away record, and they're 5-4-1 in the last 10, which isn't horrible. They're basically 500. They're basically 500 in the last 10 games.
However, I want to add something there. They went 5-0-1 after acquiring Evander Kane. I was going to say Patrick Kane, Evander Kane.
Yeah.
But then they lost 2 straight games after the All-Star break, in which they were scored 8-1. They lost against Vegas and then the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah. Again, this is something that if you want to hear our thoughts on the Oilers and how they were playing, just go back to the previous episodes, because we had like 2 or 3 episodes where we just unloaded on the Oilers. Sorry, Oilers fans. Genuinely apologize. But yeah, like they've been bad. There's not really any other way around it. Yeah, like that's really it. They have an interim coach. I'm not sure who it is off the top of my head.
Jay Woodcroft.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. And yeah, Ken Holland addressed the media today. I'm not really sure exactly what he said. I assume it was basically run around the course and everything, but this team's in a very tough spot. But I think they're better off without Dave Tippett than they are with him.
I think so too. Ken Holland, did he make a statement on the Tippett firing yet or no?
Ken Holland?
Yeah.
I think so. He spoke to the media today.
Could you pull up like one of the quotes that he might have said? I want to directly compare it to something else that he mentioned. And he mentioned this.
Give me 1 second.
No worries. He mentioned on January 11th, Ken Holland, I don't believe it, I guess, in regards to the possibly the good luck charm of firing a coach in the middle of an NHL season. He said, I don't believe in it, I guess. But I also understand there are times when possibly it needs to be done or it should be done. We're going to start to win. I believe in the coach. I believe in the team. I believe in the leadership of the team. I believe in their determination. And almost exactly 1 month later, he does not believe in the team. He does not believe in the coach. He does not believe in the determination.
Yeah.
Dave Tippett is gone.
Yeah. So here's a quote. With 38 games remaining, I just felt that I needed to make a move because we still control our own fate, but we've got to get cracking. So,
okay.
He had some very interesting quotes. He said you can't win 5-4, which is literally not true.
Sounds like what the Leafs were facing a few seasons ago.
You can win 5-4.
Yeah.
He called the season up and down like a toilet seat. That was kind of an interesting quote. But like I think, like I guess in terms of the quotes that are actually like significant, I look at the first one I read in terms of like with 38 games remaining, I just felt that we need to make a move because we still control our own fate, but we got to get cracking. That to me screams he just didn't like. You're right in terms of the thing that he said early in the season, like, oh, I don't necessarily always believe in making a move during the season, but this to me again, like the Evander Kane move, screams desperation. Sorry, desperation in the sense that he's basically doing exactly what he said he was not going to do like 2 weeks ago or however long ago it was, and he went Evander Kane. So this to me screams that Ken Holland knows that he might be next, and this is basically his last ditch effort to try to do something to try to change something up and get a spark going. Because again, like the Oilers, man, they weren't doing very well with Dave Tippett, but I think uh it's probably for the best that they moved on, just so they can get a new face, get some new life into that locker room, hopefully.
I'm gonna stand by what I said a few weeks ago when we talked about the Edmonton Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
I My question is, I don't know if you can pull this up while I'm gonna talk about this. How many games of professional hockey? I'm not including NHL or sorry AHL. I'm including NHL only. Has Evander
Mm-hmm.
Kane played over the last 2 seasons?
Give me a second.
I want to say the numbers like maybe what? Well, he didn't play at all this season. Last season, I know he was
Did you just want NHL stats?
just NHL. How many games has he played over the last 2 seasons combined?
He played 56 last year, and he's played 5, so 61 in the
Fine,
last 2 seasons. Last
but
year, I think last year's a 58 game season, so he's basically played almost all of the seat games last year.
how long has he been on break for? Because he joined in
Mm-hmm.
January of this year, late January of 2022.
Yeah,
The last time he played an NHL game was what? March,
probably. Yeah. Give me a
right?
second.
That's a long time. And I don't know why no one was talking about this enough, but you can't expect someone like that who's been off of hockey for such a long period of time to just come in
Yeah.
and play well and be a spark plug for your team. No, I could be wrong. Maybe he did play in October. I don't quite remember off the top of my head. Um,
He did not.
okay, well, that's even worse then. Like, how can you expect Evander Kane to come in, some guy who hasn't touched an official NHL game for like literally almost a year,
Yeah.
and what's the purpose of him? To provide more scoring? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe when he finds his legs and he's able to catch up with the rest of the league, sure, he might be able to provide extra scoring. But the real Edmonton Oilers problem is not scoring. It's getting
Yeah.
scored on. Defense
Oh
and
yeah.
goaltending, especially goaltending. Oh my God, goaltending.
Yeah.
So I said
Oh
they're
yeah.
not going to make the playoffs. I said this last time we talked about the Oilers, and I'm standing by it. They're not going to make the playoffs. I don't think so. Like they would
I
have
agree
to
with that.
leapfrog two really good teams ahead of them.
Yep.
I'm looking at the standings right now. I don't see any of the teams that they would leapfrog, wild card or Pacific Division.
Yep. I agree with that.
Like who? Dallas,
'Cause, yeah.
Calgary,
Like
St. Louis?
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Maybe St. Louis, but like still, like I'm not like St. Louis is a damn good team. Don't get me wrong.
I'm not
Jordan
sold
Binnington
that
does
they
have me
could.
a little worried, but like you're right because like they're in the Pacific, so like they're not leap like the Vegas is 10 points ahead of them. Like
Yeah,
uh LA is 6 points ahead of them, which isn't that's not significant. 6 points is very doable. Anaheim is 6 points, and then Calgary is 5 points ahead of Edmonton. And they would basically have to jump over Dallas, Calgary, St. Louis, Anaheim, LA, Vegas, or any of the central teams that might fall out, like Colorado, Nashville, and Minnesota.
at least two of them. They have to jump over two of them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they like out of those 9 teams, the only one I can maybe see them jumping over is Dallas and maybe St. Louis. But even St. Louis is a stretch because St. Louis is a damn good team.
Man, I don't know. I think they dug themselves too big of a hole over their recent losing slumps.
Oh, for sure.
Last
I
month
I,
and a
I
half.
agree with that. But again, just give me 1 second because there was something that came out today. Um, again, this isn't really good news for the Oilers because again, you never want to see someone get hurt, but I do believe Zach Cassian is going on long-term injured reserve because I think he fractured his face or something, or fractured something in his face or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So again, LTIR, that's going to be like three $3.2 million in cap space, and then Duncan Keith was put
Okay.
into concussion protocol. So who knows how long he's going to be out? That could also be potential LTIR, depending on again.
Hmm.
Concussions are a very serious thing. I think Duncan Keith does have a history of concussions. So again, I don't know how long he's going to be out, but there's space there to maybe go get a goalie that has like $5 million in cap space. But like, man, like,
Hmm.
why? Like who you realistically gonna go get? The one actual name I could actually like I would think they might be in play for if something were to happen would be Marc-Andre Fleury. But like he has 1 year left on his contract. He's probably not coming back after this season. I don't think he'd come back to Edmonton. So why would you spend assets to go get Marc-Andre Fleury if he's not going to come back? Like, do you like is Marc-Andre Fleury your one piece to making you Stanley Cup contenders? I don't think so, because that defense core is still pretty questionable with like CC Barry. We talked about this.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think it was the right move to get rid. Again, like I said before, and like I think it's the third time saying I think it's a good. I think it's a good thing they got rid of Tippett, but I'm going to be really curious to see what they do with the trade deadline, because I do think there are some pieces they could probably send off and get some assets for to try to kind of shape them up better in the offseason and going forward. Because if they kind of stand pat or they try to add to this roster at the trade deadline and trying to make the playoffs, while I understand that as long as you have Connor McDavid on your team, it is like you have a responsibility to try to make sure you're putting you're basically in win now mode anytime you have Connor McDavid on your roster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they can sit there and say that this is a team that's going to make the playoffs or make a legitimate run, because like this roster sucks.
Yeah.
It's not a playoff team.
And the reason for firing the coach means that Ken Holm wants them to be a playoff team. So this also makes Connor McDavid look bad, because on February 4th, he said during the All-Star press conference, he said, I just feel like everyone has their confidence back regarding the Oilers. Everyone got their mojo back. It's a good feeling in the room right now. 5 days later, the head coach was fired. So I guess, McDavid, you might have your confidence back, but Ken Holland didn't. Ken Holland is pissing his pants right now. Maybe works out, maybe doesn't. Fired Tippett. Let's see what's next.
Yeah. I think
he should fire himself.
The state of Edmonton, not like Edmonton the city or anything, but like the Edmonton Oilers, I think are in a very delicate spot right now. Just because, again, I think we talked about this when we were talking about the Oilers before. One of our many episodes we're talking about the Oilers, but like they've had such a large window where they were not very good, and they accumulated so many first overall picks, and they had all these great prospects, and they've done almost nothing with them. And again, if it's a situation where, again, I'm not saying I have any knowledge, or I have no reason to believe that Connor McDavid would want out of Edmonton, even though if things keep going the way they're going, I can't sit here and say he would want to stay. But like, man, I just don't know what they do. That's kind of, and this is kind of where I've been at with the Oilers, because again, unless they offload some salary, unless they go remove some players from their current roster, I just don't know how they can significantly improve their roster come next season or in the next couple of years, because they have so much salary tied up in players who I don't think are worth the money. So,
Jay Woodcroft coming in was coach for the Edmonton AHL affiliate, the Bakersfield Condors, I think.
Yeah, Bakersfield Condors. Yep.
Right. He was previously an assistant coach for the Oilers between 2015 and 2018. He was even an assistant on San Jose for some time. He was on the coaching staff for the Red Wings as well, and even won the Stanley Cup in 2008. So he's got some pedigree. Let's see what happens. The one last thing I want to talk about was Edmonton associate coach Jim Playfair was also fired. I guess it was because he wasn't playing fair.
Oh my God.
Womp, womp,
that's awful.
womp.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's probably enough about the Oilers. Again, Oilers fans are sorry. Like, I genuinely feel sorry. Like, at this point, I genuinely feel sorry for Oilers fans, because like it sucks. But at the same time, kind of not. Anyways, I feel like I said that a million times. And to go on to my like second least favorite NHL fan base, the Montreal Canadiens have hired Dom Ducharme and replaced him with Martin St. Louis to be the interim head coach.
Can I quickly say one thing before we talk about the Habs?
Of course you can.
I listen to other NHL podcasts too, and I read a lot of articles and stuff from the league. Elliot Friedman talked about this on his own podcast, and I think on his own blog too. The Steve Dangle podcast talked about this as well. But the Habs have been, like the city of Montreal, has been just experiencing so much shit over this season. Like, they are on, I'm talking about the team alone, first of all. The team is on pace to have one of the worst seasons in NHL history, just from a points perspective. Like, they're on pace for, if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to search this up. So Give me some time here. I'll probably search it up when you start talking. But Colorado Avalanche, I believe they had 45 points just a few seasons ago. And that itself was one of the worst seasons in NHL history. And the Montreal Canadiens, I know, are on pace for less than that. So, first of all, I never want to see a team doing that bad, doing that poorly. The Montreal Canadiens, I honestly, I hate them, but I don't hate them as much as the Boston Bruins as a Leafs fan.
Fair.
Got the Leafs emblem on my head right now. Whatever, that's just my rivalry.
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
The team has been absolutely gutted of their Stanley Cup pedigree, their roster over the last 6 months. Like they have no one remaining from that Stanley Cup final run. And maybe, it was just a purely magical thing that they went on and no one expected it to. But the team it's like nothing like what it was 6 months ago.
Did you want to guess how many points the Montreal Canadiens would have if they maintain their current pace?
God. Right now they have 23 points.
They have 23 points in 45 games. Yep.
What are they on pace for? Like 41 points?
42, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's bad.
That's just my math. Like I could be wrong, but like it's about 42 points.
They are far and away the worst team in the NHL right now. Like far and away.
Yeah.
And to make it worse, Gary Bettman basically shat on them during the his press conference a week ago. He was like,
"No, did he? What did he say?"
Remember when we were talking about like, whether or not we should keep the draft in Canada?
Oh yeah,
and about COVID and whatever. Yeah. And then because the draft's going to be held in Montreal this year, and Montreal is a big hockey market, and Montreal might have the first overall pick. There's a good chance they will. So like, obviously keep it there. And in Canada, COVID restrictions are actually easing up now over the last few weeks, and they will be probably going into the summer.
Yeah, Quebec's really starting to like just ramp it up. Yeah,
open things up, right? Which is great. Yeah. But Bettman on the press conference, he was like, you know what? Maybe we won't hold it in Montreal this year because I don't like Canada. I don't like the way Canada handles COVID.
Yeah, fair.
And Montreal is just like, what the fuck? Why? Why would you take the one thing that they have this season away from them?
That'd be so sad. Like here's the thing, right? Like I look at the roster. Not a horrible roster. Not great, don't get me wrong. But like Brendan Gallagher's not a bad player. I like Brendan Gallagher. Josh Anderson is overpaid as hell, and he's paid until the sun explodes in 2026 until 2026, 2027. That's a horrible contract. Mike Hoffman, 3 years at 4.5. That's not looking good. And for context, Mike Hoffman this year has 14 points in 30 games. That's half a point a game. Tyler Toffoli is actually having a pretty good season. Not great, but like again, the bar for the Canadiens is so low. He has 2 more years at this year, 4.25, and he has 25 points in 34 games. That's not awful. That's a pretty solid point out, but considering how few points that the Canadiens seem like they're putting up. And other than that, Paul Byron's a nice depth piece. Lekken's not bad. Paquette's not bad. Cole Caulfield, man. Oh my goodness. It's been a real rough season for Cole. And he has 8 points in 30 games. Just send him down to Laval. I don't know what they're doing at this point. Nick Suzuki. Again, I assume he's having a pretty good season considering he was an all-star, right? Wrong. He has 27 points in 45 games.
It's not that bad for Montreal.
It's not that bad. That's basically, yeah, but like, dude, come on.
Yeah, I know. Not all-star, but like,
Yeah. We talked about that. I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
And like, they have like a million guys on LTIR, so on injured reserve. Jonathan Drouin, Christian Dvorak, David Savard, Joel Edmondson, Jake Allen, Matthew Perreault, Michael McNiven. But like, even if you have all those guys back, which they have had at some point in the season, they're not great. And again, in terms of the roster construction, they got rid of the architect, which I think was probably the best thing for the team. Mark Bergevin is gone.
Yes.
So again, I'm confident. Like Montreal, I think is still it's a very attractive place to play. People talk about how it's an intense media market, which is very true. But can you hear that? You can't hear that. I'm gonna turn my gain a little bit.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. No, but I think starting this season, Montreal will be in a pretty good spot. So not a pretty good spot. I think like they can begin to offload some stuff because it looks like they finally acknowledge the time for an actual rebuild.
Yeah.
And I think Jeff Gordon is very good at accumulating assets and building up a prospect pool. They're gonna have a very high draft pick. Or are they? Hold on. They're going to have
Well, but they might have the first overall pick. Like
they have one of the two. Sorry, they might have the first overall pick, but they also traded away a first round pick for Christian Dvorak. So, but they also have a first round pick from Kokoniemi. So I believe whichever one is higher out of those two picks is going to be sent to Arizona, which I think that again, that's an awful trade. I thought that the minute they made the trade, like they could have had 2 first round picks this year.
Holy shit.
Instead they've won because they wanted Christian Dvorak.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait, they don't have their own first this year.
No, it's conditional. It's conditional.
Oh, you're right.
It's whichever they'll have whichever one is higher.
You're right.
But like that's still like,
yeah.
Again, I don't think I think Christian Dvorak can be a very useful player, but he's not worth a first round pick, at least not in my opinion.
No, he's not.
And again, this is Mark Bergevin doing what he does, where he spent a lot of assets on he overvalued a player who is not worth it, or is not worth the assets that they are giving away.
Yeah.
So again, I look at the team, man, like even looking at the contracts left on this team, like there's so many players that are making a lot of money. They're still going to be on the books for a very long time. Oh, goodness.
They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 picks in the draft this year. They got 3 third-round picks and 2 7th-round picks as well.
2 fourths.
2 fourths as well. Yeah. So I mean, this is a classic rebuild. Like this is what you do. You stockpile on draft picks, and I guess the leadership team or the management team in Montreal finally gets that. So that's good. Happy for that.
It is good. Yeah, no, for sure. And again, like I'm just in a mindset similar to Montreal. Again, if there's players that they want to get rid of, I'm sure someone will take them for proper compensation. But like, man, like no one's gonna want to take like Joel Armia for 4 more years at 3.4. Like no one's gonna want Josh Anderson at 5.5 for the next 6. Like,
remember when the Leafs tanked and traded away all their good players? Dion Phaneuf, Phil Kessel, Cody Franson.
I do, but again, hear me out. The reason I view this as being different is because like if they're like Phil Kessel was a very good player when they traded him. He was still a very good player.
That's true.
I think he put up 30 goals, 20 goals, like 25 to 30 goals in the last season before the Leafs traded him. Dion Phaneuf was an unmitigated disaster. Not unmitigated disaster, but he was not worth the money he was getting paid. But I don't think he had that much term left on his contract. And I think that's why they were able to get Otto. Like I think he had like 2 years left when they traded him. They had the season that they had him, and I think he had one more, or I can't remember. But anyways, like my point is, like I think the Leafs of 2016 had a lot fewer like actual bad contracts to get rid of, which made it a lot more manageable. Whereas I'm looking at the Canadiens right now, and I think there's so many contracts on this team where you're like, oh my dear God, like, and I don't know how they get rid of all of them, or how they start to clear house for the ones they don't want. Like Christian Dvorak, 4 years at almost 4.5. That's a lot.
Man, I was looking at Phil Kessel again right now. Holy shit, super underrated, man.
Such a good player.
The last season on Toronto, 82 games played. This guy had 25 goals and 36 assists.
Yeah.
His last season in Toronto.
Love him. Love Phil to throw. Anyways, there's no doubt in my mind that Jeff Gordon will figure it out. And I'm probably exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating, but I'm probably overlooking how easy it might be for the Canadiens to move some of these contracts. But Or maybe it's a situation where they just trade some of them out, traded some of the longer term contracts with more money for shorter term with more cap hit. Or maybe that's a solution. I don't know. But Jeff Gordon has his work cut out for him right now. Because again, like the thing is, and again, last point I'll make is I saw this point being made. The Canadiens they're not a great team, but on paper, they're a way better team than 23 points in 45 games. Like the players they have on that roster are capable of way more than that.
I think so too. It's just they've been plagued by horrible decisions. They've also gotten really unlucky this season, and their coach actually did not help at all, to be honest. When Dom Ducharme was hired, and whenever he made decisions that I think it was regarding benching Kotkaniemi and Cole Caulfield as well at times during the playoff run. Like, okay, to this day, I still don't understand how the fuck the Canadiens made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, despite Dominique Ducharme. They did somehow, but he was not a good coach, and I could tell it from the way he was conducting himself with managing the team on the ice. And then after the run, they signed him for 3 years. They signed him for 3 years, and then they just fired him now. I'm going to spitball some statistics at you. This firing came at the hands of a 7-1 loss to the New Jersey Devils. The Devils, who are really, really bad, they lost 7-1 to them.
Jack Hughes.
Jack Hughes, yeah. The Habs have allowed in the last 5 games a franchise record how many goals?
Oh my God. How many games?
5 games. How many goals have the Habs allowed? Franchise record.
40.
Well, 33. But still really bad.
Yeah.
They've lost 7 straight and 13 of their last 14 games. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Man, it's just so sad. They're 8-30-7. Look, it's really bad. I understand why Dom Ducharme was fired. I don't want to shit anymore on the Habs. It is what it is. They'll find their way around. It'll take a few seasons. They'll be back though before we know it.
The thing that's kind of sad though.
Possibly after the Leafs win the cup. So,
yeah, the thing that's sad though is like, I don't even think it's really Dom Ducharme's fault, if that makes sense.
It's not.
The thing is,
no bad coach.
I don't think he ever should have gotten extended. And I think the fact that he led the team to the Stanley Cup final, he didn't lead them, but like I think the fact the team made the Stanley Cup final put a lot of pressure on Bergevin and the front office to extend him. But like, I saw this on Twitter and I completely forgot about this. I don't think he was there for a good chunk of the Eastern Conference final because I think he had COVID.
True.
So like, I mean, anyway, like,
I don't know on what decision Marc Bergevin decided to extend him. Like, what was the justification behind that?
I genuinely think it was based off the playoff run because that like the team played really well. They overachieved. That looked pretty good. They swept the Jets. They beat the Golden Knights, who I think a lot of people thought were one of the best teams of the Western Conference. And not only did they beat them, but like it felt like they were in control a lot of the time. And then we look back at the Leafs series where the Leafs blew a 3-1 lead.
No thanks.
It felt like Dom Ducharme outcoached Sheldon Keefe. So like,
okay, wait.
I know. No, like,
I just think the Leafs, and I say we want. I give no credit to the Montreal Canadiens for beating the Leafs that series. I don't give a shit.
I don't know about that.
No, man. The Leafs got in their own way. Okay,
again, yeah. They can get their own way, well, but the Canadiens the Canadiens still deserve credit despite that. Like, even though they got on their own way, the Canadiens very well could have just rolled over at any point in that series. Like, man, like the game six, the Canadiens blew a 3-1 lead and they still won in overtime.
That's a different kind of worms.
My point is, like, I agree. Like, I'm someone who's been very hard on that. Like after that season, I was incredibly upset, disappointed. But man, I think the Canadiens still deserve some credit for coming back and actually winning that series, because again, like we're not talking about like it wasn't like it was one game where it's like, oh, anyone could have done that. It's basically a coin flip. They had to win 3 consecutive games, and I don't like. And while the Leafs did not play well, and while the Leafs choked, I will come out and say it. Matthews and Marner choked, and they didn't have John Tavares, which obviously hurt. But I'm not going to use that as an excuse, because it's not an excuse. Because again, they were on paper, they are the way better team.
Why would you say it?
Because I want to point it out. um, like, man, like one thing I will say though, man, that bad man Carey Price ain't around anymore, and I think he's starting to show what. I think there are a lot of Canadians fans complaining about Carey Price and how he's not good enough. I think there's a lot of fans right now who wish they had him back.
And there's a good chance Carey Price does not play again in the NHL.
I don't know about that, man.
Dude,
I like.
did you see the news recently?
What was a
Basically, he had another setback, and he's back to health wise. He's back to what he was before the beginning of the season,
interesting?
like physical health wise.
Okay, I didn't know that. So it is kind of interesting. Um,
Yeah, you
look,
should.
I guess here's my thought. Mental health is a very delicate topic. It's something that
Not mental health related. This is just physical health.
physical.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Okay, hold on, give me a second.
Yeah, I think
Like,
mental health related. He went through the players assistance program, and
yeah.
he did that. This is, I think,
Yeah. So
specifically with his,
I
like,
thought you meant I thought you meant it was a mental health setback. If it was a knee setback or leg setback,
yeah,
man, I'm not too worried. Again, I don't know how old Carey Price is.
old man. He's like 35, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check. Or can you check? Okay,
I'm doing it right now. Carey
I'm guessing
Price
35.
is 34 and he's turning 35 in August. Okay, this is pretty old. Okay, so that's underrated. Um, okay,
Dude,
maybe. So maybe like again, we did just see Tuukka Rask retire.
yeah.
Hats off to you, Tuukka.
Yes.
Leaf great. But okay, I genuinely did not know that, so that's kind of interesting. So maybe you're right, but like, even if he doesn't, man, like if Carey Price retires, like if his last game was game 7 against
Oh,
okay, no, game 5,
yeah.
5 was it? Game 5 against Tampa Bay. That'll be one hell of a
Yeah.
last game where he basically carried them to the Stanley Cup final. But like, um,
He's played a
things
long
happen.
time. He's played a long, long time.
He was in the same draft as Tuukka Rask actually, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
2005. Sidney Crosby draft, Bobby Ryan draft. But yeah, like, um, I hope he plays again. Because I think he's probably the best goaltender of this decade. I don't really think that's up for debate. He's been probably been the best goalie of the decade. And it would be kind of shitty just to kind of see him play his last game without knowing it'd be his last game, but that's also incredibly selfish on my part. But I hope he comes back. But again, I didn't realize how old he was.
I'm gonna say something positive here. So, new head coach coming in for the Montreal Canadiens, Martin St. Louis. Yeah, let's go.
I think that's a really good hire. I think that's a very good hire.
Coaching wise, I'm not sure at all how good Martin St. Louis is. Like, we know player wise, he was phenomenal. Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Some stats here that I have. He's 46 right now, but he had 391 goals, 642 assists for 1,033 points in 1,134 games across the Flames, the Lightning, and the New York Rangers. He won a Stanley Cup with the Lightning in 04.
04. Yep.
And then he was inducted in 18. So his only NHL experience outside of playing was a special teams consulting position with the Blue Jackets in 18-19. So this would be his first.
Blue Jackets?
I don't know. It's the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah.
But this would be his first legit coaching experience, other than being head coach of the Mid Fairfield Rangers under 13s AAA in Connecticut during this season, actually.
Okay, true. Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. I'll be interested to see how this plays out. Obviously, French Canadian guy. I think he's very popular. He was very popular amongst the Lightning fans. Um, Montreal Canadian fans might hate him considering he basically victimized them on, I think it was game 6 or game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years ago. But
Yeah.
in a market where they value having a French Canadian coach so much, I think this is probably one of the best routes they could have gone. Now maybe I'm wrong because again, I also view that they should just hire the best person available. But again, I understand it's a very cultural thing out in Quebec and Montreal, so I'm not gonna touch on that. And Vinny the Calvier also got a job with the Canadiens today, which that was kind of cool.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he got a front office job. Give me 1 second.
That's crazy.
Vincent the Calvier. Yeah, he got an assistant GM job with the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, wow.
So Vinny, good job.
Cool.
I've always thought that one or both of them would have been a nice fit to the organization, considering they're both French Canadian. But yeah, I don't know. That's
cool.
really all I had.
I mean, injecting some Stanley Cup pedigree into the Canadiens locker room or the management is not a bad idea at all. Good job.
Yeah. Like, I'll be also interested to see how this plays out because again, I don't know. I have no reason to think this. I just think it's sorry. Like, I just think of Martin St. Louis, but like he was a very well-known playmaker. He was someone like to pass the puck. He would off like towards the end of his career, he would basically Steven Stamkos' wingman, where he would just set Steven Stamkos up on that left face-off dot. And I wonder, because a lot of those guys who make plays or pass the puck, like to set up players, see the ice very, very well. So I wonder if that vision and if that ability to kind of see the ice well will make it so that he can actually generate a really good, a better system for the Canadians. I don't know. I don't know if that's a theory, but like, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how Martin St. Louis does for sure. Because again, I genuinely don't think this Montreal Canadian season could have gone any worse.
Yeah, you're right.
Like people said their playoffs was lucky. It looks like they basically came way back down, not just to Earth, but like past the Earth. They're like in the Earth's core right now. They're in the fire.
Yeah, I read somewhere that they've had more players put on COVID protocol list this season than any other team in the NHL.
Interesting. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
So they've been dealt an unfair hand. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm going to quickly read you some quick last tidbits of news before we wrap. And this is just going to be super duper fire. Brad Marchand suspended 6 games for roughing. We're not going to get into this too much, but it is what it is. He is getting 6 games now because he's been a repeat offender. So weird. Like he's done so many weird, shitty things over the last decade, but this is the first time he's considered a repeat offender. Whatever. Tuukka Rask retiring after 15 seasons. We talked about this. Thank you, Tuukka.
Go. Yep.
One of the best goalies in the NHL.
No, not thank you to you.
Thank you, Tuukka. Thank you, Tuukka, for your services to the league. No. I take back my thank you. Game respects game. Although I don't have game.
No.
And then Austin Matthews actually will return tonight against the Flames.
Thank God.
Okay. Question of the day before we wrap.
Yeah.
So far, there have been 5 NHL head coaches fired this season alone. You got Dom Ducharme. You got Dave Tippett. Oh, hold on. I have the rest over here.
Travis Green.
Alain Vigneault, Travis Green, and Jeremy Colton. That's not including the Paul Maurice resigning.
Okay.
Do you think that number, it's 5 right now, do you think it will hit 8 by the end of the season? I'm including very end of the season before the free agent frenzy period begins.
8. Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say no because I can't see. I don't really see 3 teams that haven't already fired their coach getting fired. Maybe DJ Smith. That's 6. Buffalo, I can't see. Chicago, no way. Winnipeg, we just had Dave Lowry. who's that Coyotes head coach? Did they fire someone recently? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna say no. I'll keep it short.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no as well. I think the coaches that were supposed to be fired this season have been fired now.
Also one more thing. Did you see something at 3:54 today regarding our favorite Arizona team?
Huh? No, I did not. Why?
The Coyotes to play at ASU's multipurpose arena next season. They officially signed it. So hold on, just to give a little more information here. The Coyotes will play all their home games at this venue from 2022 to 23 through 24 to 25 NHL season.
Holy
An
shit.
additional option for the 2026 season.
Gary, Mr. Bettman, I don't know what models you have where the Coyotes are actually predicting a profit, but no, they won't.
Hold on. There's something even funnier. Hold on. So like the Coyotes posted that on Twitter, and I get it. Again, they want we have an arena for now. Woo! Like kind of not really because it's for Arizona State University. And the first tweet under it is from the Arizona Coyotes, and it says, "Sign up first to know about next season's tickets." And then the things that follow underneath are freaking hilarious. Oh my god.
Say one thing. Say one of them.
Me and 17 of my professional clown colleagues will be arriving at the rink in the same car. Will there be enough season tickets available for all of us to watch the games? Thank you in advance. ASU students may be in attendance in banana suits and probably invoke the curtain of distraction at Coyotes games.
Oh man.
All six people have to fight in hell in a cell match.
Anyway,
I think he meant cage match, but yeah.
Do your outro. Do your famous outro. World renowned.
Hello everyone. Thanks again for listening. Again, it's not really much of an outro, but thanks for listening. Follow our socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe on Spotify and all other platforms. It can be found in our link tree in our bio on our socials. Peace.